For this project, you need some cardboard, scissors, and some paper. It's easiest with glue, but tape also works, and if you don't have either one, that's okay. For the collage itself, you can use construction paper, magazines, or paint chips, which you can get for free at a hardware store. To make your collage, you'll start with your base, then add a background, a middle ground, and a foreground. We are making a collage landscape, which means an image of a place outside. Find some cardboard for a base, cut it into a rectangle, and then use colored paper to make your background. You can see how I trace the base so that I can cut the paper to the same size and shape. Since you're making a landscape, your background is your sky. You can make a realistic landscape or a fantasy landscape. For a fantasy landscape, use your imagination. Maybe you want to make a sky with tiger stripes in it. Notice how I create the details on the background before I move on to the next layer. Remember, if you don't have construction paper, you can also use magazines, paint chips from a hardware store, or anything else you find that's flat and colorful. If you don't have glue, you can use tape, or even just put the pieces of paper on top of each other. Don't forget to take a picture at the end. I've chosen some paper to use to make a tree for my foreground. I skipped my middle ground. There's sky, but nothing beneath it like the ground or anything in the distance. This won't work very well. If I put the foreground down first, I'll have to cut around it to make the middle ground. It's much easier to put the middle ground first and then put the tree on top because it's my foreground. You can see the same thing with my first example. I start with the background, the sky, because it's going to be behind everything else. If I glued down the bridge first, it would be so hard to go back and do that city behind it. For a collage, you will always work back to front. Make your background with all its details, then make your middle ground, and add details to that. Don't start gluing down your foreground until the very end.